Delaware County's only live television newscast from Ball State University's Unified Media Newsroom. You're watching NewsLink Indiana Midday.
Welcome to NewsLink Indiana Midday. I'm Alana Gaither. Members of the public are now allowed to pay their respects to the late Pope Francis. The Pope passed away on Easter Monday at the age of 88 from a stroke and heart failure. The body of Pope Francis was transferred to St. Peter's Basilica today during a procession, where he will lie in state for 3 days. Rafael Romo is in Rome with more.
Wednesday's procession began with Francis' body being moved from the chapel of the Casa Santa Marta residence, where he lived during his papacy. After that, the procession made its way to St. Peter's Basilica. Thousands of mourners stood outside St. Peter's Square to get a glimpse of Pope Francis as his body was transferred to St. Peter's Basilica during a procession Wednesday morning. The ceremony began with Francis' body being moved from the chapel of the Casa Santa Marta residence, where he lived during his papacy. The coffin traveled through Piazza Santa Marta and the Piazza di Protomartiri Romani and into St. Peter's Square. Bells tolled slowly as the coffin entered St. Peter's Basilica. Mourners outside broke into applause. The coffin laid at the altar of the confession. Cardinal Kevin Farrell presiding over the service known as the Liturgy of the Word, allowing attendees to pay their respects to the late Pope. Cardinals then approaching the coffin in pairs to pay their respects to Pope Francis. Following the ceremony, members of the public began filing inside to visit the coffin.
His legacy is going to show the world that to accept everyone and to love everyone as Jesus loved everyone.
The funeral for Pope Francis will take place Saturday at 10 a.m. in Rome. That's 4 a.m. Eastern Time here in the U.S. President Donald Trump is giving 2 college commencement addresses. One you might expect at West Point, and the other at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It actually marks the 3rd time Trump has visited the home of the Crimson Tide. He's attended football games at the school twice before. The president's speech on the Alabama campus will take place May 1st, which is actually before commencements begin the next day. It will be a separately ticketed event at the university's Coliseum. The International Monetary Fund and World Bank Group are meeting in Washington this week. The location might be fitting given the IMF's newly released World Economic Outlook. It says President Donald Trump's tariffs are slowing down the U.S. and global economies. On the heels of the report yesterday, Trump is showing signs he might ease up on some of his positions. Wall Street appears to appreciate that after this month's stock market plunge. But it's unclear if Trump's change of tone can change the fate of the economy, as Amy Kiley reports.
The president and the administration are setting the stage for a deal with China.
President Donald Trump is softening 2 of his most contentious economic positions, but a new report shows it might be too little too late. He says the tariff on many Chinese imports eventually won't be, quote, anywhere near the current level. It's 145% after his repeated hikes.
I'm not going to say, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice.
Trump also appears to be walking back his social media post that says the Federal Reserve Chair's termination can't come fast enough.
I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates.
The change of tone follows yesterday's grim report from the International Monetary Fund. It forecasts a global economic slowdown of 0.5% year over year. It predicts an even bigger hit to the U.S. economy. The IMF says it revised its forecast due to Trump's trade announcements on April 2nd. They include a 10% universal tariff, reciprocal duties that are on hold for 90 days, and hikes on Chinese imports.
Everybody is saying that the U.S. economy is in trouble, but the administration continues to say it's just a bit of transient or few transient problems. It's more than that, and the evidence is there.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
A new poll shows young Americans hold broadly negative views of the direction of the country, President Trump's job performance, and most political institutions. The data came from a new Harvard Institute of Politics poll of Americans younger than 30. According to the youth poll, roughly 4 in 10 young adults say America is worse off under President Trump than it was under Biden. Many respondents said they were more fearful than hopeful about the future of America. The results show a generation, quote, defined by political pessimism and uncertainty. They also said the generation is, quote, navigating financial hardship, frayed social bonds, and declining trust in institutions. Let's take a look at today's NewsLink Indiana weather. These are the conditions right now. It's 71 degrees under sunny skies. Expect a May-like day today with a high of around 80 degrees. And get ready to ride the temperature roller coaster in the 7-day forecast. After highs in the 80s tomorrow, they'll drop to the 60s this weekend before temperatures go back up and down next week. Southbound lanes of Interstate I-65 were shut down on Monday due to a semi that caught on fire. Indiana State Police say their early investigation found the truck had a mechanical failure which caused it to catch fire. The truck was hauling flammable material which kept exploding and keeping the fire going. Fire crews worked to keep the fire under control, but intense heat still damaged the roadway. The driver of the truck was unharmed. The Muncie Carnegie Library has been on the National Register of Historic Places since the 1970s, but NewsLink Indiana's Dylan Chestnut reports the rich history goes beyond the building itself.
On the bookshelves, you'll find lots of the genealogy records and local history from Muncie. But what sorts of lost stories are waiting to be discovered? The library doesn't just hold stories in books, but in the walls as well. One story was discovered during a renovation years back.
They found inside one of the walls, tucked above a fireplace, a leather workman's boot. And they found out that there was this old superstitious practice of putting shoes in the walls of buildings to protect them from evil spirits and things.
Stories such as this are not few and far between. They can be seen on bookcases and displays, each of which has its own story to tell, also with the ability to spark imagination in visitors.
Even if they might not have an interest in local history, sometimes just coming in and checking it out can spark that a little bit of an interest, and we like to see that happen in people that come and visit the building.
This spark of interest is vastly important in making sure that the library is here to stay for years to come. In fact, this year is very significant to the Muncie Library system.
Because this year is our sesquicentennial, our 150th anniversary for Muncie Public Library, we do have on our website a link to a digital exhibit that we created that talks about the entire 150-year history of MPL.
Now you know, a library like this doesn't just hold books and artifacts. It holds the stories and lives of the people who once lived here in Delaware County. In Muncie, Dylan Chestnut, NewsLink, Indiana.
For more information about the Carnegie Library and MPL's 150th, you can visit their Facebook page, Muncie Public Library. And that's your NewsLink webcast for today. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to join us tonight at 6:57 on Ball State PBS. And for news anytime, anywhere, go to ballstatedaily.com.